Okay, so we're gonna do a part 5 to Zion's affairs. Zion was distraught. She sat in the hotel lobby and she just couldn't control the tears that were falling from her eyes. And finally, the detective came over. He reached his hand out and he said, "Hi, he said, you're Zion?" Yes. Yes, I'm Zion. He said, "Well, I'm Detective Robert." How you doing, Detective Robert? Um, I don't know who could have done this to my friend. I'm so disappointed. Listen here. There was a man on the camera. He said his name was Bobby. He was here last night, and me and Malcolm thought he was following me. And if you could just check the camera and check to see if it was him. Shouldn't there be cameras on the floors? He said, "Yeah, there are cameras on the floors, and we're gonna check all of that." "Are you okay?" "Absolutely not." He said, "What were you doing here last night?" Me and my husband had an argument, and he told me something about him being with another woman, and I left. I left him, and I went to a hotel. I got me a room, and he said, "Well, what did you check in at?" It's a motel right up the street, about 15 minutes away. He said, "Yeah, I know the place. It's only one place there, so yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about." He said, "I'm gonna have to do an investigation." He said, I gotta go check to see if you're actually a resident there and if you checked into the hotel, okay?" "That's not a problem. I understand." But I came here last night just to see him, and we had some drinks, and he offered me an Uber or to take me home, and then he finally said that he'll get me a room here, and I accepted that because it was easier than to drive home, and it was safer, you know. Yes, I understand. That does sound like a safer solution. So Zion, where were you? Where was your room? What floor was you on? I was literally right next door to him. I didn't hear anything, and I don't know if it was because I had so much to drink last night or what, but I didn't hear anything. He said, "Okay, well, I guess that's all I can take from you for now." He said, "Here, yeah, I'm gonna give you my card," and goes in his pocket, gives her the card. He said, "Well, Zion, he said, I'm gonna have one of my detectives follow you back to your hotel and just check in with whoever the whoever the front desk person is, okay? Just to be sure that you were checked in there, okay?" "That's fine. I have nothing to hide." He said, "Okay." He said, "Well, I'm so sorry about your friend, and I hope everything works out." He said, "If I need anything from you," he said, "so stay in town," and he said, stay in town." "No problem." So Zion leaves with a fellow detective, and he follows her back to the motel, because it wasn't a hotel. He follows her back to the motel. She goes to the front desk with the detective. And the man that was at the front desk that checked her in last night treated her as if he'd never seen her before. So she walks up to the counter and says, "Hey," she said, "you remember me?" And he said, "No, I can't say that I do." She said, "Excuse me?" She said, I checked in here last night, room 707. I still have my key. And he said, I'm so sorry, ma'am. Maybe you got the motel confused with. She said, how? It has your name, your hotel name on it. He said, ma'am, that's an outdated key. He said, that's something we issued about maybe 4 years ago. He said, you sure it was this place? I mean, my things are upstairs. He said, ma'am, he turned his books around and he showed her. He said, look, no one has checked in since earlier yesterday afternoon. So the detective was looking at Zion and he said, you sure this is the correct place? I'm absolutely sure. This is the place that I checked in. Where's my things? So he said, she says, something's going on. She said, officer. He said, detective. My apologies. I left my husband last night because he told me about him having an affair with a woman for over 3 years. And I wind up here. And then from here, I wind up going to visit my friend at his hotel. And I got this key last night. I've never been here in my life. And he said, he said, I can't solve, he said, I can't solve that for you, ma'am. He said, I'm sorry. He said, I don't know what's going on. He said, but we'll get to the bottom of it. He said, sir, do you guys have cameras? Yeah, as a matter of fact, we do. He says right here on the screen, I can pull it right up for you. So he said, can you pull up last night? He said, Zion, what time did you get here last night? It had to be about any time between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. So the gentleman turns around the camera and pulls up that yesterday's date and time, and they just let it play out from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And they just looked at it, and there was no sign of her. She said, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. I was here last night. How else would I have gotten this key? And then he says, ma'am, I'm sorry. He said, again, that we haven't had that type of key for the last 3 years. He said, that was issued 3 years ago. And then he pulls out 707. He said, this is key 707. That room is vacant. So Zion began to doubt herself, and she felt a bit crazy. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go home to my husband, and I don't know what happened because I know I came here last night. I'm sure of it. I have proof. So, detective said, yeah, sure. So she said, give me 1 second. So she goes into her phone and pulls up her bank account. And there it was, her payment for last night's purchase for this hotel, room 707. She said, here it is, officer. I was here last night. This is the gentleman right here at this desk that checked me in. And so the detective said, sir, can you explain this? He said, no. He said, I can see what the problem might be. I have a twin brother. And it's possible that he was the one who checked her in and issued her an old key. I apologize, ma'am. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry for the misunderstanding. Please, I apologize. So, are my things still upstairs? He said, I'm pretty sure it is. I apologize for the misunderstanding. So, the detective goes with Zion up to room 707. When they get there, she opens up the door with the old key. And the first thing they caught was a stench. And she said, what is that smell? She said, it's worse than yesterday.